Hi everybody. I long ago promised that I would show my Leonardo collection, and I'm going to have to do it in a 2 or 3 videos. So I'm going to start today with what really is probably my favorite model of Leonardo. It's certainly the pen that started this whole obsession, and I still think it is the greatest expression of what I like about Leonardo. So there might be a different pen that I go to pick up on a regular basis that would suggest a favoriteness, but this is the model that that epitomizes what I like about Leonardo. I have a Leonardo box, but I have so many examples of this model that they won't all fit in the box. And of course, what I'm talking about is the Art Deco. This was the first one, the terracotta, which I got from Chatterley Pens, and I wanted a blue one. But the terracotta and the mustard were all that Bryant had at the time. And he assured me the terracotta was beautiful. I thought, oh, okay, I'll get it. And he was right. And I just love it. I love the design on the barrel. I love the ebonite. If you look closely at this ebonite, it's slightly speckled, which really works on the terracotta. There's also some speckling on the red. I don't think you can see it on any of the others, but the terracotta and the red, oh, you can see it in the sand and the mustard as well. Anyway, so I got this pen, and I love that it came with a red feed, and it's perfect. It just fits my hand. It's got this interesting shape to the section. I've talked about all this stuff before, but I just thought to be able to find a pen that felt like a vintage pen in the hand, but had a warranty and all of those things that go with a modern pen made me very, very happy. So then I started looking around at this Leonardo thing, and the next thing I found was this, which is a special edition from Fonteplumo. I hadn't dealt with Fonteplumo before, so I got a great pen, and I also was introduced to a seller I hadn't dealt with before, who's a really terrific seller. But so it's green, okay? Love green, one of my favorite colors. Limited edition, that always hooks me. But what really did it was, I love this pen. I was carrying it everywhere. I had it in a pen sleeve, and as I was putting the pen in my pocket, it slipped out of the sleeve on the floor and it broke off at the section. I was devastated. The pen was long sold out. I knew that ebonite couldn't really be repaired. It was accidental damage. It was no fault of the pen at all in terms of its manufacture. So, I super glued it back together so I could at least use it, which was absolutely ridiculous. But my notion was, it's junk anyway. Let's see if I can make it at least a usable pen again. And I posted about this on Instagram, and the owner of the company, Salvatore, contacted me and said he'd fix it. Now, I don't know what fix it means. He has to have turned a whole new section, I think. I don't know what he did, but he took it. I got a pen back, and I was sold, right? So I love the pen, but the idea that the customer service which was way beyond what was necessary, way beyond what a warranty ought to do, it just meant everything to me. It said, so here you could buy a pen that was commercially available, commercially distributed, and still get this kind of personal contact. that was great. I don't know, I mean, Leonardo is extremely popular now. I'm not saying that you can get that kind of service anymore or all the time, but at the time it hit me, and so I thought, well, I'm gonna get me another one of these pens. So then I started going on a search, and soon enough I ended up with all but one of the initial iterations of the Art Deco. All right. The blue one I paid a premium for because they were hard to find, but you know, I just had to have it. So for the longest time, I did not have the mustard because in all the photos I thought it just looked ugly. But it drove me crazy, of course, that I had all but one. So not all that long ago, last fall, I found a mustard still available, I think at Novelli. I'm not absolutely sure about that. And I got it, and you know what? It's a weird color. It's sort of a chartreuse, but I like it. I like it a lot, actually. So that was the initial iteration of the Art Deco. And last December, Leonardo released a new version of the Art Deco. So Art Deco 2021. And I got all of them, including another special edition from Fontoplumo, which is really, it's a beautiful green. It's a great pen. No, so there are some differences. This is a true piston filler, whereas this is, it works like a piston, but it's really more of a captured converter. Captured converter, whatever. Captured, I think. I've seen people write it as captive, but it makes more sense for it to be captured. Anyway, there's a converter inside, but you can take off the end and manipulate it. You can also, and the converter is glued in, so you can't remove it. You can also take it apart at the section and operate the converter that way for the first iteration. The second one, there's no taking apart at this section. You just operate it from the end knob. And the knob doesn't come off, it just turns. God, I'm glad I don't have ink in there because I didn't check that first. That's one pretty key difference. You'll also notice that, let's look at the two greens together. The center band is different, and also the pattern. I don't know if you can see that very well, but the pattern on the barrel and cap are a little different. This one's a little more elaborate. Now, truth is, oh yeah, also the new ones are larger, they're longer. Boy, they feel like they're thicker too, but I'm not sure. And they also have somewhat different sections. This is I would call this more of a traditional section. It's a little chunkier. The new editions did not come with red feeds. Actually, several of mine did not come with red feeds. That's a whole other story. But I got the red feeds to replace them. So there are some differences. I actually like the first edition a little bit better. I think most people would say that the second edition is an improvement because it has the proper piston, therefore it has more ink capacity. I think most people would like that chunkier section. The fact that it's a somewhat longer pen, you know, bigger supposedly is always better. But when you uncap them, it's not that big a difference, really. Maybe a quarter of an inch. But I think, in my view, the three bands, the three thin gold bands, look more vintage to me now. You can find all kinds of bands on vintage pens, so it's more of a feel than an actual reference to a particular model or to a particular style, right? I I actually can't think of any pens that have 3 thin bands like this, though the Personal Points from Wall, which I really loved, had 3 bands, but the middle band was thicker. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. These are great pens. I'm going to flip the camera around so I can talk about them a little bit more and you get a little close-up of it. So I have different size nibs on these pens. This is a fine, and that, again, this was my first pen, and I like that a lot. But as I went along in the Leonardo universe, I started playing around with different nibs, and generally on a gold nib pen these days, I'm going to get an elastic nib. Leonardo has just come out with a steel elastic nib. I have some on order, but I haven't tried it yet. So I'll do a little video comparing those. But I really like the feel of the Leonardo elastic nibs. So I have a variety in here. I think I have an example of every nib, including this, which is a stub. And I never ever use stubs, but I'm finding I'm really enjoying this stub. And here's another thing. I've got black ink in it. I never use black ink. I mean, really, I never use black ink. This is only the second pen I can recall inking with black. But look, I like it. I like it for certain things. So, whoa, baby. So here we go. This is the Leonardo collection. In the 2021 versions, they did not make a mustard or a sand, which I think is too bad because these are nice colors. And let's see if I can put these side by side and you can see the patterns. There we go. You can see the pattern difference a little bit better. I love them. And it's about 40 degrees here. Everything's brown and ugly, but that doesn't bother Oslo. And if we look really closely, green things are starting to come up.